Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhavatir Bhakti Vaishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 22, Text 32, chapter entitled The Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Barhishmatim Nama Vibhur Yam Nirvishya Samavasat Tasyam Pravishto Bhavanam Tapatraya Vinashanam. Someone can read the translation, please.
Vasudha Mataji, you read the translation. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sarvatminam Prabhuji. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Having entered the city of Barhismati, in which he had previously lived, Manu entered his palace, which was filled with an atmosphere that eradicated the three miseries of material existence. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Next verse,
Prabhuji,
someone
you
can
want
read?
us to read
Yes, please.
purport or verse, Prabhuji?
Next verse, please.
Hare Krishna. Shanti Mataji, you can read the verse. Hare Krishna. Sabharya Sapraja Kaman Bubujenya Virodhatah Sanghiyamanas Satkirti Sastribhi Surakhayataihi.
Yes, translation, please.
Prashanti Mataji, you can read the translation, Mataji. Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation by Prabhupada Ki Jai. Emperor Swayambhu Manu enjoyed life with his wife and subjects and fulfilled his desires without being disturbed by unwanted principles contrary to the process of religion. Celestial musicians and their wives sang in chorus about the pure reputation of the emperor, and early in the morning every day he used to listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a loving heart. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Should we read the purport, Prabhuji?
No, we can read the next verse.
Okay, friends.
Till 34.
Sindhu Mataji, you can read the shloka. Krishnamurti Prabhu, you can read the translation. Hare Krishna. Pranams Mataji. Pranams Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. 3.22.34. Nishnatam yogamayashu munin swayam bhuvam manu yat abram shayitum bhoga nasikpur bhagavat param. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation by A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thus Swayambhuva Manu was a saintly king. Although absorbed in material happiness, he has not dragged to the lowest grade of life, for he always enjoyed his material happiness in the Krishna consciousness atmosphere. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrind Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare. Here, very nicely, it is explained about the pastime of Swayambhuva Manu, who is one of the 14 Manus, and each of the Manu is actually there to set the principles for that particular Manvantara. In one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus and 14 Manvantaras. Each are about uh, 773 yugas and or 71 yugas, Mahayugas, 71 Mahayugas, 71 cycles of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. That's one Mahayuga. 71 such Mahayugas is one Manvantara. And there are 14 Manvantaras in one day of Brahma. And in between, there are Sandhyas between each Manvantara. So that all of that combines to 1000 Mahayugas in one day of Brahma. And then there's the night of Brahma also. And so Swayambhuva Manu is one of the Manus. And the first verse is explaining about how Manu entered his palace in the city of Barhishmati. And it was filled with such an atmosphere that the three miseries of material existence the is completely eradicated. What are the three miseries of material existence? It is the uh, miseries of the body and the mind, the miseries given by other living entity, and miseries by the uh, universal forces, which means famine or flood or anything like that. Uh, it is also, miseries caused by the body and the mind is, we all know what are the miseries that the mind causes: depression and anxiety, stress, uh, anger, pride, greed. And we are afflicted by all these miseries of the mind. It's called adhyatmika. Adhyatmika means miseries caused by the body and the mind. And if the body is diseased, that's also adhyatmika. Then there is adhibhautika. Adhibhautika is miseries caused by other living entities. Like, sometimes there are other living entities who enter the house. The animals may, some unwanted animals, unwanted insects, all of that is adhibhautika. And of course, miseries caused by our Other living entities, other human beings is also adhibhautika. But sometimes the miseries caused by other living entities is more because of our perception of them rather than them actually causing that misery to us. So it could be adhyatmika as well, but there is adhibhautika and adhidaivika. Adhidaivika is the miseries caused by higher authorities, by the demigods, of famine, flood, pestilence, tornadoes, hurricanes, all of these things. And this is because of so many collective karma that is there. But in the city of Barhishmati, there was nothing like that. Everything, all of these three miseries of material existence, as soon as one would come there, they would be eradicated because there was such a spiritual atmosphere just dedicated to the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that there was no karma. Everything was akarma. There was no karma, there was no vikarma. Everything was akarma, which means any action in akarma that you do, we don't get any material reaction. We only get spiritual reaction of spiritual realizations, but not any material reaction to that. And so, as a result, there was no threefold miseries. It is explained that one time there was a man, he was running from a tiger. There was a tiger who was chasing him, and he was running, looking back, and as he was running, he fell into a well. And while he was falling into the well, there was a little branch that was coming out from the well of a creeper, and he got stuck on that branch. His cloth got stuck, and he was hanging right there. And he looked down, and he saw, oh my God! If I wouldn't have been stuck here, there were snakes inside the well. All of these snakes were eager to receive him and bite this person. But this person was hanging in the middle. Now, interestingly, this branch where he was hanging, there was a honeybee nest, a bee comb, honeybee comb was there, and that got disturbed because of his jerk to the branch, and all the honeybees started coming and biting him, and he couldn't leave. He had to just tolerate those bites, because if he leaves, he's going to go for sure death. He cannot go up because the tiger was watching when this person is going to come up. And while he was on the branch, there were two mice, a black mice and a white mice, who were constantly nibbling on the branch of the tree. And so that branch was, at any time, it could have broken. And amongst all of these things, there was a little honey drop that dropped on his lips. And he started smacking his lips. And that was the only pleasure that he had in this entire situation. Otherwise, he was fearful, he was anxious, he was being bitten. And this is what is considered as the material life. It is explained in the scriptures that the adhyatmika klesha, adhyatmika miseries, is the honeybees who were biting him. Adi bhautika was the tiger who was waiting. Adi daivika were the snakes who were waiting down to bite him. And then the black and white mice were the night and day that we experience as time passes by. The branch on which we are hanging, the branch of life, will break at any time. But within all this, we get little pleasure, little material pleasure, and we think, wow, this is happiness. I want to be happy. This is how we should be happy. But that's just enough to keep us attached in this material existence. But there is no happiness amongst all of these things. The proportion of misery is much, much greater than the proportion of happiness. It's not a good deal here. But we are very much attached just for that little happiness and ignore all of the suffering that we are undergoing. We just say, oh, this is life. I mean, what can you do? We don't even know actually real life is spiritual bliss that can be experienced. We feel sense gratification is our greatest friend. But actually, sometimes some things that look as our greatest friends are our worst enemies. Um, so, therefore, we must be very, very cautious. One time uh, there was a lady. She brought a small snake and kept that small snake as a pet. She would feed him milk. She would feed him all the different things, and sleep in the night with this little snake. And it was very nice until the snake started growing in size. And then one day, this snake, although it had a very good appetite, one day it stopped eating anything. Whatever she would give, he would just not eat. And it had been 3, 4 days that he had not eaten. And but there was something, uh, there was something different about that week, because 3, 4 days he had not eaten, but every night when he would sleep, he would give this lady a very warm embrace. He would coil around this lady and sleep, and she would sleep in his warm embrace. And uh, she was like, this is really unusual. He never gives me such warm embraces, and he eats every time, but he's not eating. Maybe he's not well. Maybe I should take him to the vet. So she took the snake to the vet on the 6th day and said, Doctor, there is this strange symptoms that he's having. Uh, he's not eating the snake for a long time, for it's been 6 days now, and but he has become very loving to me, much, much more loving. He just gives me a very loving embrace in the night. And so the doctor, he looked at the snake, checked the snake, and then he said, how long has he been doing this? Saying, it's been 6 days. The doctor said, be very careful. Get rid of the snake immediately. Doctor, how can you say that? This is my pet snake and he's just started embracing me so lovingly. How can you say that? The doctor said, my dear lady, listen to me very carefully. You need to get rid of this snake right now. This snake has not been embracing you. This snake is actually trying to measure you. And he has been fasting because at the end of the 7th day, he is going to open his mouth, and he has become a python now, and he's going to completely suck you in. He's been fasting for the feast that he's going to have on you. And while he's coiling you, he's every day measuring so that he can decide how much he can actually eat you, how he'll be able to digest you, how he'll be able to suck you. So get rid of the snake immediately. So sometimes we think that things are, uh, sometimes Maya convinces us. This is for my benefit. This is giving so much pleasure, this sense gratification. How can this be bad for me? But it's like the snake embracing nectar in the beginning, poison in the end. That's sense gratification. Bhagavad Gita says that. So we need to be very careful who is our real friend, not necessarily someone who may be making us feel good in the temporary situation. We need to look at long term as well. Is this real happiness? Is when we pursue meaning in our life, and then as a result, happiness comes as a byproduct. But if happiness is, but meaningful life is the goal, a life full of meaning, purpose, that's the goal. And then we get happiness. But if happiness is the goal, our life will not have any meaning. Just temporary happiness is not of any pleasure. But that drop of honey is what we are intoxicated by, because that's the only pleasure that we have amongst all this suffering. So, this is very, very important. We can get rid of these three miseries of material existence only when we are in this atmosphere of Krishna consciousness. And just like the city of Barhishmati had when Manu entered his palace. And Prabhupada says, we cannot stop the miseries of material atmosphere, but Krishna consciousness is the antiseptic method to protect us from being afflicted by the miseries of material existence. So we need to apply the antiseptic method to get rid of these threefold miseries. Then he explains more detail the next verse, how how that atmosphere in the palace was so spiritual. It explains that when Swayambhuva Manu and his family would go to sleep, they would uh, there would be singers who would be singing different tunes and in glorification of Sri Krishna, and they would sleep hearing the glories of Krishna. And then they would wake up with these singers singing beautifully the glories of Krishna. Celestial musicians and their wives sang in chorus about the pure reputation of the emperor. And early in the morning, he used to listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a loving heart. This is what Krishna says. We must hear Krishna's pastimes with a loving heart. It said, Anubadhena Rida Shrinvan, which means being attached with the heart. Similar understanding is in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Tesham satade yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam, which means priti purvakam. We must perform devotional service with affection. Same thing that's given here, with a loving heart. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. What will happen if we perform devotional service with a loving heart, with priti purvakam, affectionately, is Krishna will give us the intelligence from within how to come to him. So that's why it's very meaningful of how to perform bhajatam priti purvakam, how to perform anubadhena rida, how to perform affectionately by being attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How do we chant in that mood? How do we chant bhajatam priti purvakam? How do we serve, perform devotional service, deity worship, offering bhoga, preaching, book distribution? How do we perform all of this priti purvakam, affectionately? It means by being grateful. When we are expressing our gratitude, then we will be able to perform uh, priti purvakam out of thank you, Krishna, you have been taking care of me so wonderfully. I don't deserve this. There was one person, one king, he asked, his ministers. You are all very wise ministers. Give me one answer. I want one single answer to the question, how are you? If someone asks me, how are you? What should I answer in such a way that it will be applicable in any situation? Any situation. I may be uh, good, I may be bad, I may be going through tough times, I may be exhilarated. If someone asks me, how are you? Generally, I say, I'm good if I'm really good. I'm not doing good if I'm really not doing good. But what is that one answer that I can give? The ministers, they thought about it. They had conferences. They just couldn't come up with one answer. There was always an alternate. And so a great sage walked in and he said, I can give you the answer. That answer is, if someone asks us, how are you? Just say, better than I deserve. This is applicable in any situation. If there's something good happening in our life, we're saying, I'm doing better than I deserve. I actually deserve worse. But somehow I'm doing good. I'm better than I deserve. I'm grateful for that. If we are not doing so well, again, better than I deserve. I actually deserve worse. Prabhupada, one time, Prabhupada's finger had a small cut, and all the devotees were anxious. Prabhupada, your finger, your finger. And Prabhupada, applied the proper medicine and all. He said, "Don't worry about it. I actually my hand was supposed to be cut off, but Krishna was very merciful and he just gave me a small cut. So I'm happy." And so, because Prabhupada was living by this example of I'm better than I deserve, and in that way, if we live our life with that gratitude, thank you, Krishna. You are giving me such good things. You are uh, taking such good care of me. Out of gratitude, I want to perform devotional service to you. I want to chant your holy names and glorify your holy names. That, at our level, as a sadhaka, is Priti Purvaka. If we just do that, that will help us elevate to the level of real affection, of, of bhava and prema. But before that, we need to start with expressing gratitude and performing devotional service out of thankfulness to Krishna, not out of duty. Even if we are doing out of duty, because our guru has said, so I will do it, because my senior devotees have said, so I will do it, still try to bring some level of gratitude. Because Krishna, you're giving me so many good things. You're giving me the air to breathe. You're giving me such nice prasadam. You're giving water. Rasoham apsu konteya. At least that. And then there are so many other good things that Krishna is giving all different devotees. If you just recognize that, I want to reciprocate with your wonderful things that you're giving me. Then we are performing bhajatam priti purvakam. Then we'll be joyful. Now, being grateful for the good situations, but also being grateful in the bad situations. We're not necessarily saying grateful for the bad situations, we're saying grateful in the bad situations. Uh, uh, Even if some situation is really not going well according to our expectations, we are still thankful to Krishna, not necessarily for that situation, but thinking about the good things that Krishna has already given us. Focusing, count your blessings, focus on the blessings. And sometimes at a very advanced stage, many of the great devotees like Chitraketu, like Vritrasura, like Kunti Devi, like all of these great devotees, they are grateful not just in the bad situations, they are grateful for the bad situations. How are they able to be grateful for the bad situations? Because in those bad situations, they are able to learn the life lessons. We can be grateful. Krishna, you're giving this situation, which I don't know why you're giving this to me, but I know I have faith that you are taking care of me. And if this is what you're sending, this is what I need to make spiritual advancement. Please reveal to me how I can actually learn from this situation and grow towards you, towards your love of God. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to perform Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. In this situation, thank you for providing me this opportunity to demonstrate that I am sincere to be humble than a blade of grass, to be more tolerant than a tree. When we go through such unexpected situations, that is the opportunity that Krishna is giving for us to demonstrate to him, are you really sincere? Will you really be humble? Will you really be tolerant? Will you really still be respectful to others and not expect any respect in return? And Krishna is pleased, and we are grateful for that opportunity that you are allowing us to do this. So there are many different ways that we can perform bhajatam priti purvakam. Like Draupadi, she focused, uh, it depends on what we focus on. When Draupadi was being disrobed, she could have been focused on the fact that what Dushasan was doing. But in that bad situation, she focused on Krishna's mercy. Hey Govinda, hey Krishna, hey Gopal. And because she focused on the mercy of Krishna, Krishna came for her protection. Same with Gajendra. He stopped focusing. He was for 1,000 celestial years, he was focusing on getting rid of the crocodile. But then when he stopped focusing on the crocodile and started focusing on the intervention of Krishna's mercy, then Krishna intervened. So we can learn from these in good situation, bad situation. We can be bhajatam priti purvakam by being grateful. And here it's explained in such a wonderful way that even today, as Prabhupada says, even today, in rich man's house or in royal palaces, there is the Mangal Arti ceremony. The Sri Sri Radha Govinda temple is actually established by the king of Jaipur. Sri Sri Radha Govinda ji were brought from Vrindavan. And there, if we go to Jaipur, Sri Sri Radha Govinda temple, it's like a palace. In the middle of the palace is the courtyard where there is this temple. And about 500 devotees every day come for Mangal Arti at 4:30 a.m. at Sri Sri Radha Govinda temple in Jaipur. This is not an ISKCON temple. This is actually a regular temple by the king of Jaipur. But even today, 500 devotees for Mangal Arti in the morning. It's a beautiful ceremony. Uh, so, like that, temple worship by the royal family is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada says, where it is stated that those who fail to achieve success in the Bhakti Yoga principles within one life are given a chance to take birth in the next life in a family of rich men or in royal family of learned brahmanas or devotees. So this particular verse actually explains that really wonderfully. And then later on, it's also explained, thus Swayambhuva Manu was a saintly king, even though he was absorbed in so-called material happiness, but his consciousness, he was not dragged. His consciousness was not dragged to the lower grade of life because his material happiness was in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. He was always conscious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because, again, as we said, they are focusing on the mercy of Krishna, just like Draupadi and just like uh, Gajendra. One time, one devotee, he came to the temple, and in the temple he was doing his services and everything was going well, but he was somehow not happy, and so he went to his Guru Maharaj and he said, Gurudev, I come to the temple with a very sincere heart. I want to serve, but you know, I just overhear different devotees criticizing each other, and then they drag me into it and they tell me about other devotees, and what is this going on? I don't like this. What can I do? So his Gurudev said, well, okay, uh, you are in the temple, get me a glass of water. So he said, yes, Gurudev. He goes, gets a glass of water, and he fills that glass of water to the brim. And then, here, Guru Maharaj, water for you. Gurudev said, no, this water is not for me. This water is for you to take this pitcher of water, which is full up to the brim, and go around the temple and make sure not even a drop of water falls. So the disciple was surprised. Why, Guru Maharaj? Why do you want me to do that? Well, this will give you the answer to your question that you asked. I said, how is that related? Just follow, you will come to know. So the devotee, he took that pitcher full of brim, fill up to the brim, and the water could, if he's not very careful in walking, the water could just, fall or just spill. The task was not to spill even a drop of water. So while he was circumambulating the temple, he was very, very conscious and focused on making sure that the water does not fall, not even spill. And of course, around the temple, there were sometimes rocks, sometimes it was the earth was not flat. it was uh, it was different roadblocks were there. But then he came back and he said, Guruji, I completed the task. Did any water spill? No, there was no drop of water spilled. He said, okay, so this is the solution. Devotee said, what is the solution? I don't get it. He said, because you were so much focused on this glass of water, you were not distracted by the stones and by the earth, which was up and down, or any other obstacle that was there, because you were simply focused on the glass of water. Similarly, when you come here, just be focused on glorifying devotees. Just be focused on serving Krishna, on pleasing Krishna, pleasing his devotees. And if you just keep your focus here, you will stop hearing all the other things. So make sure that you're focusing on the mercy of Krishna and be grateful from that point of view. So this is what basically Srila Prabhupada is saying. The verses that are being covered are 3.22.32, 33, and 34. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada says that we must be, therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement can give the people in general the best opportunity to utilize their human life in the midst of material enjoyment. Simply regulate your habits in the life of sense enjoyment, and then, in spite of your enjoying the material advantages, simply chant the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That regulation is really important. It's important that we wake up in the morning and perform our sadhana, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, perform Mangal Arti in the association of devotees as much as possible, or even at our home. That's discipline. Discipline is to do things that you don't like to do, but you do it as if you like to do it. Discipline is to do things we don't like to do as if we like to do. And that we may not like to wake up early in the morning. But that's where Prabhupada is saying the life of Krishna consciousness is to regulate our habits in the life of sense enjoyment. And the purport Prabhupada says regulate the habits is very important. Many times we may struggle. Oh, it's too cold in the morning. I can't get up. I slept late. And mind gives so many excuses. So, in that case, what should we do? Sometimes start small. Just say, I will just, for this week, I will just get up at 3:45 a.m. in the morning and I'll brush my teeth and I come back and then sleep. Do that for a week. Now your mind is slowly trained to wake up at 3:45 and you're brushing your teeth and you're coming back. But that showing up is extremely important. Next week, you say, I'll go one step further. I'll brush my teeth, take bath, and come back. And then I see if I feel sleepy, I'll sleep. Otherwise, I'll sit and chant. Do that for another week. Once, slowly, once our habits are being formed of small things, then we can say, okay, now I'll get up in the morning. I'll, just brush and take bath and then do Mangal Arti. And then slowly steadily start adding different things, because if we give our mind a huge task, just the utter uh, 3-4 hours I have to do Mangal Arti, oh, I better sleep. The mind just doesn't get it. Just give it small task, but progressive. Make sure you're progressing. Then we'll be able to regulate our habits one by one. And in this way, if we can, it's said that whatever tapasyas that the yogis were doing in the Satya Yuga for 60,000 years, getting up for Mangalarti in Kali Yuga is equivalent to that. So we must understand that the modes of nature are very heavy, but we must wake up, we must do Mangalarti every day, chant 16 rounds, as many rounds as possible in the morning, read Srimad Bhagavatam so that we are completely uh, insulating ourselves, this antiseptic of Krishna consciousness, we are injecting in ourselves, because the entire day, everyone is going to convince us you are the enjoyer. And we have to protect our consciousness by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam every day, where it says, Srimad Bhagavatam is the only place where it says, you are the servant of the servant of the servant. And we need to absorb those consciousness. That's the purpose of life. Otherwise, everyone says, Coca-Cola, enjoy. But if we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we are wearing the wind cheater before going out in the snow. And it has to be done every day. Not that, okay, if it is cold outside, will it work if you say, oh, yesterday I had worn my wind cheater, so today I can go in the snow? No, we'll get sick. It doesn't matter whether we chanted yesterday or not. What did we do today? That's important. So regulate our life in Krishna consciousness, and in this way we can become Krishna conscious very quickly. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We can take any questions or comments now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It was so good. Everything we already know, but all the time we hear and we learn something new. And each time we need these reminders, constant reminders for us to, in the material life, to still follow Bhakti. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Devotees, anybody wants to ask question, please raise your hands. Suma Mataji, please ask. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranams, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you said that we have to cultivate the habit of being grateful to the Lord for what has been bestowed on us. So when we are doing that, we never want to pray anything for us, Prabhuji. But the people who are around us, they are, who are not into devotion, they are in need of something. Because whatever we say, we are not so good preachers and we are not able to convince them also, like our kids or anybody. They have a disagreement so much on scriptures and the chanting and whatever we say. So how can we can't even bring them to Krishna consciousness also and make them practice bhakti also. It is very difficult. So in those situations, how can we be grateful to the Lord? Like of course we need His mercy. Without His mercy, they cannot come. So we are feeding them prasadam and everything, and we want them to be the part of Krishna consciousness movement also. So how can we be satisfied, Prabhuji, like without asking God and being grateful even in the difficult situation, Prabhuji? It is very difficult, Prabhuji. My practical question, and now I'm suffering. I've been troubled, Prabhuji, with this actually. I'm not able to bring my kids or my husband to bhakti. So this is what is troubling me, Prabhuji.
That is a very sincere question. Thank you for this wonderful question that shows that you're sincere in practicing Krishna conscious and you're sincerely desiring to get your loved ones into Krishna consciousness also. Um, it is not easy. It is said we can convince the whole world about Krishna consciousness except our family. And it becomes difficult. But at the same time, there was a saint in Italy. His name was Saint Francis of Assisi. And he told his disciples that go out and preach and speak if necessary. Go out and preach and speak if necessary, which means, and they were surprised, wow, how do we preach if we don't speak, or we speak only if necessary? Which means that we preach by our actions. When we preach by our actions, we may not need not say so many words to convince. So the first thing is, of course, as you are already doing, set good example. Make sure that we don't compromise on our spiritual life, and when they see that we are very consistent in our spiritual life, we are at the same time being loving to them, not be bitter because they are not taking to Krishna consciousness, and that we are something great. No, we are also being loving to them. We are taking care of our responsibility towards our family, and maybe if that requires us to wake up earlier than usual so that we can complete our chanting and spiritual sadhana, then we are doing that, and they see that. And sometimes it seems like uh, whatever we are saying, it's not working, but actually it is, because the kids are seeing what you are doing. And even if they don't come visibly to Krishna consciousness, when they go through some life issues, whenever, maybe when they are 25, 30 years old, who knows, at that time when they are shaken from their roots, and it happens to everyone, they will remember that my parents, my mother used to find her stability in Krishna consciousness. I should try that. So it seems like it's not working, and it may not. You may not see it visibly, um, immediately, but it is just your example is definitely helping them. They will take up to Krishna consciousness to the extent that you are giving stability, you're showing, demonstrating stability in your life by practicing Krishna consciousness. There is this bamboo plant, Chinese bamboo, where the farmer puts this bamboo seed and then keeps watering, and the seed doesn't grow until after 6 weeks. And then in 6 weeks, it actually grows. In 10 days, it grows 6 feet. So, because it was growing roots within, it wasn't visibly growing up. So, similarly, our example is putting roots in them, and those roots are growing deep within. And when the right time comes, they'll be ripe for Krishna's mercy and it'll grow up. So, continue what you are doing and continue praying. You're offering prasadam, that's wonderful. Don't force them, give them your love as much as possible, and it will, Krishna will definitely put them in a situation where they will realize this is a real life of Krishna consciousness.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving answer, Prabhuji. The
Hare
practical problem that I'm struggling now with is I'm wearing a kanti mala now, and my kids and my husband has not stopped taking non-vegetarian, so they are taking. So I have to cook for them. So I I'm not at all willing to touch or even to cook, Prabhuji. So should I remove the kanti mala and then for them, or what should I do, Prabhuji? So because I just want that I should not stop them from taking non-vegetarian, because they will really get affected. Then never they will never come to Krishna consciousness. So I just want them to chant like how the Srila Prabhupada says. So what can I do, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, make sure that you have separate vessels and everything, that you are not honoring in the same vessels or cooking in the same vessels. That is important. And um, I mean, many times the vegetarian food is much more delicious than non-vegetarian. If you are the cook and if you are cooking delicious vegetarian food, they may not miss the non-vegetarian. So maybe reduce as much as possible, and other things can be discussed in a private forum. Maybe you can speak to my wife, who can give some more guidance on the specific situation that you may be focusing on, and that would be, I think you'll find much better help in that way as well.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you
Hare
so much,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Murti, Prabhuji.
So tomorrow my wife Kalasudha is giving the class, so you could
I'll
also
take the number,
do that.
Prabhuji, from Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I am grateful to you, Prabhuji. I have no questions. Only thing is, what your kind self has told us, it is to be implemented in our personal lives.
Yes.
So particularly threefold miseries to overcoming. How are you? Better than I deserved. This is a great lesson for me, particularly. Focusing on Supreme Lord's service, regulate our habits. So those are all the golden words which were to be apply in our personal life. I am grateful to you, Prabhuji. As and when your kinds have come to the class, you are giving so many informations that with that strength and then your way of approaching, just for it to taste this little bit of happiness, and you are spoiling our entire life. That is the story has also given so much lesson. So I am grateful to you, Prabhuji. So you please, as and when you come, that thing is, you are not supposed to be fallen from the devotional service. So I am grateful to you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare Krishna,
you.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu, just one time, can you repeat the Adi Atmika, the example which you had given? I quite understood the night and day is the mouse eating, and the nectar is the taste, but the Adi Atmika is, Adi Baudika is the lion, which is standing on the top.
Yes. And Adhyatmika are the bees, honeybees, who are
Honeybees,
biting.
sure.
And
And Adivika?
Adidavika are the snakes below in the
Snakes,
well. Yeah.
Sure, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu, for asking again. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for taking all our questions also. You're coming often, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Can we end the session with the prayers, Prabhu?
Sure.
Vancha
Tarubhyascha
kalpatarubyascha
kripasindhubhyeva cha patitanam Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavebhyo jai. Jai. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu,
Hare.
should I end the session with your permission?
Yes, please. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.